Wealthy individuals will often spend their money on anything tax-deductible, like this painting, for example. Yeah, that was 300 million US dollars. But what happens when they decide to purchase one-of-a-kind historical items? How much are they truly willing to spend? Well, let's take a look. The first item we'll cover is the 16th century manuscript from none other than Leonardo da Vinci, known as the Codex Leicester. The manuscript is leather-bound and contains 18 pages of scientific processes, illustrations, and explanations. Such include a hypothesis for why fossils of sea creatures could be found atop mountains, written many years before plate tectonics were accepted scientifically, and other subjects, such as the movement of water and the illumination of the moon. With such information, it becomes easy to understand why the manuscript would be so historically important and valuable. But what exactly does that mean in terms of its selling price at auction? The manuscript went to auction numerous times, but the most notable was its sale at Christie's auction house in New York in 1994, where the manuscript sold for an astonishing $30,802,500 to the well-known buyer, Bill Gates. And as of 2023, that dollar amount equates to roughly 63 million US dollars. Today, the manuscript has been unbound and often goes on exhibition in different countries every year. The next item is the marble statue of Emperor Hadrian. Marble statues often seem to be reserved strictly for museums, but if you really desired to own one, how much would it cost? Well, this example sold at Christie's auction house in 2019 for $5,950,000 and has provenance dating back to the 1700s. The statue itself was created sometime between 117 and 138 AD, or simply during the reign of Hadrian, and depicts lovely Roman craftsmanship. The following item is none other than Marie Antoinette's natural pearl pendant. But first, how did this item find its way out of France? When both the King, Louis XVI, and Queen, Marie Antoinette, were preparing to flee the country, Marie would make the effort to save her most prized jewelry, wrapping her most valuable items in cotton and having them transported into the hands of loyal Count Mercy Argenteau in Vienna. However, despite the jewelry surviving the journey, the Queen would not. Eventually, however, the pendant alongside other jewelry would find itself in the hands of the last surviving child, Marie-Thérèse, where the items would be maintained and passed through generations, not being seen by the public for over 200 years, until they were put up for their first auction. However, as in the most recent auction in 2018, we truly understand the insanity of bidding wars. During the Geneva auction at Sotheby's, the pendant would beat pre-auction estimates by more than 18 times, selling for an astonishing 31.6 million US dollars. The next item is the Guennol Lioness, a 5,000-year-old miniature sculpture that outranks all of the prior hammer prices. Discovered in modern-day Baghdad, the sculpture is believed to be Mesopotamian, dating back to roughly 3000 BC, and measures at a surprising 8 centimeters in height. Yet despite its size, it sold for a whopping 57.16 million US dollars at the Sotheby's auction in New York in 2007, or about 86.88 million US dollars in 2025. The next item is one that I'm sure most of you are familiar with, the famous Salvador Mundi, a painting depicting Jesus which was painted by renowned artist Leonardo da Vinci sometime between 1499 and 1510. The painting itself sold at Christie's auction house in 2017 for a jaw-dropping $450,312,500, selling to Prince Badir bin Abdullah of Saudi Arabia. The following item is an ancient Roman bronze statue. The statue itself depicts Artemis alongside her infamous stag, and dates sometime between the 1st century BC to the 1st century AD. The statue itself was sold at Albright Knox Gallery in New York in 2007, and sold for an impressive 28.6 million US dollars, or roughly the equivalent of $43.47 million in 2025. The next item is a 900-year-old turquoise ceramic brush bowl, which was commissioned by the imperial court of the late Northern Song dynasty. The brush bowl is labeled as being virtually unobtainable, as it was produced at the most notable of the 5 great kilns, which produced ceramics for less than 20 years. The bowl itself launched an intense 20-minute bidding war, and sold for an astonishing 37.7 million US dollars at the Sotheby's Hong Kong auction in 2017. The following item is another Roman marble statue, known as the Hamilton Aphrodite. This statue dates between the 1st to 2nd century AD and was sold as a single lot at Sotheby's in 2021, fetching the unpredicted 24.6 million US dollars. 9 times higher than the $2.2 million estimate. The statue itself was acquired by 19-year-old Douglas Hamilton in 1776 and would reside within the Hamilton estate for nearly a century. Hence its name. And believe it or not, the same year that he acquired the statue was the same year that he had this painting commissioned by the same man who he purchased the statue from. In a letter regarding Hamilton, the seller, Gavin Hamilton, wrote, quote, "The large Venus I had in my possession is now on its way to Scotland. The Duke of Hamilton fell in love with it the moment he saw it and secured it immediately. It is a fine thing." The following item is an ivory mask of Apollo dating to the 4th century BC. The mask itself is believed to have been carved by the very famous classical sculptor Phidias. However, alongside its historical importance and impressive sale price is an unusual history. The mask itself was originally discovered in 1995 by Pietro Casasanta, the infamous tomb raider, who looted the artifact near the baths of Claudius. The mask itself is from the Chryselephantine statues, which were even limited in number in ancient times. This directly correlates to how little we have left behind in the modern day. Likewise, it is believed that all of the Roman statues were destroyed following the Gothic sacking of the city in 410 AD, leaving the mask as one of the few surviving life-size remains of the statues. The mask itself is now proudly exhibited at the Quirinale Palace in Rome. Anyhow, the mask itself sold privately in 1996 for $10 million before being confiscated in 2003 from a London auction once it was proven to have been looted. The next item is the 3,000-year-old bronze ram wine vessel originating from the late Shang dynasty. This wine vessel was sold at Christie's auction house in New York in 2017 for an astonishing $27,127,500. Now, for the concluding item in this video, also with a unique history, the Canford Assyrian relief. This 3,000-year-old relief once hung in the palace of an Assyrian king, but through a series of unexpected and simply odd events, found itself hung as a boys' school in London since it was founded in 1923. And by the time it was rediscovered in 1994, it was painted over and set beside a dartboard at the school's tuck shop. But here is the brief history of how it actually got there. The relic was discovered by Henry Layard in 1840 and was brought back to London shortly after, alongside numerous other artifacts, many of which were donated to the British Museum. However, Layard maintained possession of a few finds, and even donated some to John Guest, who lived at the Canford Manor, where they even built a special building for the artifacts. However, with time, the manor would eventually be sold, and with it, the artifacts, which would reside in that building until it was turned into the tuck shop, where the 3,000-year-old relief would simply be painted over and forgot about. Eventually, however, when it was rediscovered, it would be sold at Christie's auction house, fetching an impressive $11.5 million US, around $24.5 million in 2025. And with that, we conclude the video. If you learned something new or have any questions, let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed, consider liking and subscribing for future content. And with that, I am sure you will agree that some people simply have far too much money.